Deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on.
Oh, we live? Of course we're live. People, Deluded, I'm back again. It's been a while, man. Harry, how you doing, man? Happy to have you, man.
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a long time. How's it all going? Hope
It's
always
going
good.
great, man. It's going great, man. I hope it is for you lot, man. I know me and you have done a lot of content, especially when Arsenal wasn't as healthy as this, man. I'm going to jump straight back into it because I haven't had a chance to ask you. What have you made of this season, man? What have you made of it? It's been amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's exceeded all expectations, hasn't it, in terms of what we thought Arsenal could achieve at the outset. I would have looked at this season and gone, look, if we can get in the top four, great. You know, that would be the next step in the process, if you like. And it feels like that process has been accelerated by a number of factors. I think Mikel Arteta's management, I think he's improved as a coach and as a manager, obviously, looking at the results. I think some of the recruitment has been bang on. I think the development of some of our players, the Martinellis, the Sakas, the Odegaards, just taking it to, and that's just to name a few, you know, taking it to another level. I think there's so much to be pleased about. I don't think anyone expected this at the start of the season, but now we're here. You know, now it's becoming squeaky bum time, isn't it?
Would you say it would be a failure to play devil's advocate? You know, would you say it'd be a failure if we weren't to win this league title now with the opportunity we have?
It's a hard one, isn't it? Because I think I wouldn't say it's a failure. I'd say it would be an opportunity missed. I guess that's the way I'd look at it, because there is an opportunity for Arsenal to go on and win the league. If they can just maintain this standard for, you know, a couple more months, then, you know, we could go on and
9 more games, bro.
Crown champions. That's it. But to say it's a failure, I think is harsh. I think if we do miss out, I think the initial reaction will be one of disappointment, and that naturally brings overreactions and people sort of, you know, really venting and stuff. But I think when the dust settles, you'll look back and go, what a season, you know, what a season.
You're right, man. We would have bitten your hand off in August for this to basically have achieved our goal, which was probably where the domestic campaign is concerned, Champions League football. We've done that and then some. Like, it's amazing watching. You've seen the season. Everything's still up for grabs, and excluding the Premier League title, nothing really affects us what our rivals are doing. So it is amazing. You touched on it kind of in one of your comments earlier. You mentioned the process and accelerating the process. What do you mean by that? And what do you think would be the next stage of Arsenal in this process where we find ourselves now?
So I think the next stage will be maintaining the level. So, you know, not just being in the mix for one season, but being able to be in the mix for a number of seasons. And obviously, in going to the next stage of the process, you will then have different challenges. So you will then have to face European competition and balance that with the Premier League. And, you know, in the past, we've been able to make wholesale changes in the Europa League and still get to the knockout stages. You're not going to be able to do that in the Champions League. You're going to have to find a way of A, building a squad that is capable of handling both, and then B, managing that squad in the right way to make sure that you can maintain those levels. So that's the next stage, you know, adding European football at the highest level to the picture and being able to cope with that. In terms of what do I mean by accelerating the process, I guess just, you know, getting closer to where we eventually want to be quicker than a lot of us thought. Yeah, and you're right. You know, it's quicker than the progress that we should be making. Look at where we were last season. You know, we were inconsistent at times. We had, you know, we had rubbish periods where, you know, it offset against all the good
Didn't
work.
even start well.
Yeah, we started horrendously, and then, you know, we'd go in these bad runs and we'd end up losing 3, sometimes 4 on the bounce. And if you do that, you can undo a lot of the good work and put yourself in trouble. So it's just been a breath of fresh air this season, and you can feel it around the club, can't you? The mood, the atmosphere is just 10 out of 10 at the moment.
Like you said, man, I don't think I can add anything onto what you said. I think the atmosphere is perfect. I think individually players are shining, collectively, you know, with the starting 11 down to sub teams, you know, Benjamin White and Saka, everybody on the left-hand side, the midfield's going from strength to strength. I didn't actually ask you, you know, what did you make of the Europa League? Because it didn't end in the way we would have liked. I'm pretty sure everyone would have said in August, top 4 via the Premier League and go as far as you can in the Europa. Do you think that was an opportunity missed at a trophy?
Potentially, but I think it was clear from months ago that we didn't really have the squad to be able to make wholesale changes in that competition, prioritize the Premier League and you know, stay fresh in that competition. And I think what you saw, maybe more than tired legs, was just a lack of cohesion between some of those players that were coming into the side. You're talking about people like Fabio Vieira, who I think is developing nicely, but isn't quite there yet. You're talking about bringing people like Rob Holding into the heart of the defense. We all know that unfortunately is a downgrade on William Saliba. Tomiyasu was coming in at right back at times, who was great last season. I think has been good in patches this season, but has been a little bit inconsistent in his form.
You're right.
Haven't helped that. And then you're going from Zinchenko to Tierney, which means you're changing not just your left back in terms of the personnel, but in terms of what their skill set is. And then you're putting forwards into the side that maybe aren't ready. And Eddie Nketiah was being relied upon in the Premier League at that point. And then all of a sudden, you can't risk him in the Europa League.
Yeah.
And you just end up like with a bit of a mix mash of two teams. And I think that showed at time. So I didn't expect Arsenal to go on and win the Europa with the team that he was selecting or with that balance, because it just didn't look right to me. And it was a reminder that there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of the squad. The first 11's great, but the squad still needs improving.
Like you said, the squad still needs improving. I'm going to further ask you about that in a sense. I think the Europa League was a missed opportunity just because, I think the damage was done personally in the first leg against Sporting Lisbon. And then the second leg, we did well to take it to penalties. It's the luck of the draw. It weren't our day. But as you said, it became abundantly clear that months ago, we're going to try and focus on the Premier League. How do you actually feel with 9 games left then?
I feel 50-50, to be honest with you. I can't sit here and say that we're definitely going to go on and win it. Equally, Arsenal have been so good this season that they deserve us to believe in them, and they deserve our trust for the remainder of the season. But it's the fixtures, it's just looking at those fixtures. I mean, Liverpool to come this weekend, and then you've got Manchester City still to go to. You've got Newcastle away. A game that I think a lot of people are sleeping on is Chelsea at home as well.
Frank Lampard now as well.
Yeah, coming back in might bring the feel-good factor back, release the shackles a little bit. That could be a difficult game. Brighton have got to come to the Emirates as well. They're not going to be any pushovers. So
West Ham away after Liverpool as well. People are fighting at the bottom of the table for something.
Yeah, we got Forest away as well, who will be fighting. We're going to have Wolves away, Wolves at home on the last day of the season, which they might be in the mix still as well. There's so much still to play for, and although we've got this 8-point cushion at the moment, Manchester City have played a game less, so you've got to look at it as 5. But the truth is, one draw for Arsenal and Manchester City means you've given them control, because it's now in their hands. They go and win every game, including the game against us, and they win the league. So the control could easily be passed over, and that's my concern. So in fact, I said 50-50. I'm lying. I'm probably going to say that I'm 55% Manchester City are going to win it and 45% on Arsenal at the moment.
I think that's a fantastic percentages. I feel exactly like you. I feel on one hand, it feels like it's just setting up for us to be our year with what Mikel Arteta is doing, with the way we're fighting. With actually, I feel at times we're playing teams at the right time. Like we got Crystal Palace and Brentford out the way. We won all our home games. It just feels like everything's setting up for us, and maybe fortune is with us. But we're the hunted. They're the hunters. They've been here and done it. I think everyone's expecting them to go on a run. I'm pretty sure you, with your line of work, you see the media games Pep Guardiola is consistently playing, and it's just down for us to show our bottle. On one hand, I think the fact that a lot of our players, if any, haven't been here before, in a positive way, we could be naive and we won't necessarily feel the pressure. Equally, we could crumble. You mentioned Liverpool, and you mentioned earlier when we started talking about Rob Holding. What do you make of the Liverpool game? What do you make of Rob Holding potentially playing for Saliba? While we can't rule out Saliba, it's not looking good, is it? It's not looking good, man.
No, it's not looking good at all. My guess would be that Rob Holding is going to play. Listen, we don't really have another option. There's no point crying about options.
Facts.
It's not the transfer window. Like, there's no point in even discussing that. I think the focus has got to be on getting behind him, supporting him. Don't make him any more nervous than he needs to be going into the game by making a lot of noise about it in the lead up. But he does change things at the back for us. I think one of the things I expect to face at Anfield is a high press. That's what Liverpool do. And with Saliba at the back, I'd be really confident of us being able to play through that first line. And then with the weaknesses that they have in midfield, I feel like we could really expose them. But are we going to be as press resistant with Holding there? No. And then does that mean that every time you build up from the back, you go to the left centre back, which makes you predictable? So it is going to have an impact on the way we play. I think Aaron Ramsdale is going to play a big part in at times when the press comes we're going to have to use him as the outlet, go back to him, and he's going to have to chip one out to the right back, to the left back in the way that he does
I
so
agree.
well. So yeah, there's loads of factors, but Rob Holding's done okay in the last couple of games. They were both games at home against sides in the bottom half of the table, sides that you expect to beat. So I'm not jumping up and down about those performances, but I think it's helped him that he's had those games to kind of build his confidence, understand the way
Get
that
some
we're
minutes in
playing.
the legs as well, really.
Exactly, because he's been really inactive in the Premier League this season. So I guess that was a kind of nice, comfortable build-up, and we're not throwing him in cold, at least at the weekend.
I'm with you with that. I feel, added on to your point, I feel the only thing that concerns me and what should give Holding confidence is that, you know, Arsenal home and away, they'll support you. And even if fans didn't support you, the one opinion who matters is Mikel Arteta. If he's playing you, go and show the gaffer why you deserve an opportunity. And you know, as you just said, you've played 2 games before. We've been on a winning run. Just keep it going. And I hope, you know, naturally you've played football. If you know your teammate isn't as good as a certain player, whether that's Partey, Benjamin White or whatever, you kind of try and help them a bit, really. And just in general, not that you can read into form, but 2 contrasting situations at the moment. We're filled of confidence. I'm actually slightly more confident in Arsenal away from home than at home because we seem to do the drama a bit at home. So I want us to be a bit confident. I want us to be on the front foot. I don't necessarily, I know you've probably seen it on your channel. I'm not necessarily a fan of Tierney coming in for Zinchenko purely because we've already lost something with Saliba in our build-up play. We lose Zinchenko, we lose that more. And the midfield battle, as you know, Zinchenko runs into midfield. Let's suffocate that and win the battle. And in a nice way, let's not let Liverpool out of their own half. Do you go with Trossard or Martinelli?
It's so normally I'd go with Martinelli because I feel like we need that explosion of pace. I feel like we need his
Especially against Trent.
directness. Yeah, and I feel like he's one of those wingers that whoever you're playing against, he pins them back because he will do the running the other way as well and help out defensively. And he's just
I
a
agree.
machine. Like he's relentless. So I would normally go with him, and I probably would go with him on the balance of things. But when you look at Trossard's record at Anfield, there is a temptation, isn't there,
Got
to
a hat
say
trick the other day there, man, at Brighton.
exactly. There's a temptation to go, you know what, this could be the game for you. And his impact has been incredible, more so with assists and goals, but his impact has been great. And what an option he is to be able to call upon as well. So I think for me, the best front three that Arsenal have in terms of the balance, the connection, the sort of being all on the same wavelength. I think it is Jesus through the middle, Saka right, and Martinelli left. So that's what I'd start the game with at least.
I mean, you said it's an interesting one, and it's one where I'm happy I'm not Arteta, and it's one where you wish you could play 12 players because, as you
Yeah.
said, Martinelli's tenacious, he's ferocious, he seems to always have a decent game against Liverpool. Just because of the way he plays, Trent might think twice about going forward. The same says for Trossard. Obviously, Trossard's experience, he's shown he can, you know, take up positions all over the field. He has got a hat-trick out there. And I think what Arteta's done smartly, sometimes we've rid the waves of players' form, and I think with Trossard, there's a case for that. And if I'm honest with you, with 9 games left, it's the Trossards, it's the Jesus's, Zinchenko, Xhaka's, Partey's. I'm looking at you lot to show your experience and things like that and keep a cool head and things like that. So for me, I'm probably going to lean towards Martinelli, but in the weeks and days that have been here, every time I've been asked the question, bro, I've changed it. So I don't really know if I'm completely honest with you. Some people are saying we should go to a back 3. Would you entertain that?
Nah, I wouldn't, just because we've got to this point playing the way that we're playing, and to try and abandon that or to try and veer away from that going into such a crucial game, I think is a bigger risk than it's worth. You know, if you get to the 80th minute and you're winning 1-0 and you want to bring on another centre back, or you want to bring on Kieran Tierney, for example, and add him to that back line, then fine, do that. But I don't think you start the game that way. It's hard because we need to get out of this it's Anfield mindset, because in terms of the levels of the 2 teams this season, we're way ahead.
Yeah.
The question is, can we get over that kind of mental block? Can we go there and quieten the place down from early on and really impose ourselves? I think we can, but we've got to take our chances when they come. We've got to be concentrated throughout. Yeah, I just think to move away and go with a formation that we haven't played with this season is very, very risky in a game of this magnitude. If we go there, play our normal way, and we get beat,
Fair play, innit? Really.
then it is what it is. But if you go there and you start changing around things and you start messing about with the shape and the system, I think there's always going to be a part of you that looks back and goes, why? You know, why did we do that? And And I think that would be difficult to overcome mentally, because look, we might go and lose at Anfield at the weekend. It doesn't mean the title race is over. You know, it's 1 week at a time. The pendulum can swing. Man City's involvement in the FA Cup means that I think it's when we play Southampton, they don't play a Premier League game. So psychologically, I know they'd still have the game to play and make up, but psychologically, you could increase that advantage even further.
They'll know what they have to do.
Yeah, which increases the pressure on them when they go into their games, because now it's like, well, Arsenal have already got those points on the board. There's no room for error here. Whereas right now, people are looking at Arsenal and going, well, they might slip up at Liverpool, they might slip up at City, they might slip up at Newcastle. And so, yeah, every sort of 3 points you can put on the board, it just adds the pressure on them, because we're sitting there obsessing over their results when really it should be the other way around.
It should be. How do you kind of touched on it? How do you rate? How do you feel about going into this game with everything and obviously our record at Anfield? Because what is it, 10, 11, maybe even 12 years since we last won in the Premier League? Personally, I feel if there's never been a season for it to end, then we never will do it. When I look at the grounds that are difficult for us to go to, yeah, we've won at Spurs. We haven't done that away from home recently, but Goodison Park, St Mary's in Southampton, Man United in Old Trafford, we haven't picked up what we'd like to pick up there. So I think it's a new opportunity for us to just play the game and not necessarily the occasion. But I want to win at Anfield, man. I've never wanted to win at Anfield like I have this coming weekend, if I'm honest.
Yeah, of course, man. And I think it's about, I think what you said is right. Opportunity. That's how you've got to package it up to the players. If you're the manager and you're giving the team talk and you're building up to this game, you've got to package this up as an opportunity to correct the wrong, not a pressured situation. You know, you go there and take the opportunity, grab it with both hands,
Right.
and get over the line, and get what you need out and get out of there. And you've got an opportunity to stop having people talking about Arsenal's record at Anfield, and, you know, to change the status quo. And that's what Arsenal have been doing a lot this season. You mentioned the win at Spurs. You know, there's so many games where we've looked at them and gone, this could be difficult, and we've come through them with flying colours. Yeah, there have been some disappointments through the way, but you're not going to have a flawless season.
Amen.
So yeah, let's go there and try and take the opportunity, because that's exactly what this is.
Kind of looking beyond this season, then obviously, where do you look at areas for us to improve? Obviously, we've been linked with the Declan Rices, the Caicedos, the Zubamendis, the Fresnadars, the Lavias. What areas in an ideal world would you want to see Arsenal improve upon as we're going to be in the Champions League and so on and so forth?
I think we need to add some in midfield. I still think that beyond Thomas Partey, we're really weak there. Jorginho was a good acquisition for £10 million or whatever it is to help us through to the end of the season. But beyond that, you know, is he someone that you want to stick with moving forward? Personally, I don't think so. So that would be the first port of call for me. Clearly, the right centre-back position is one that we need to strengthen in. I think we've been a bit unlucky there, because under normal circumstances, you could have tucked Tomiyasu in, or you could have put Ben White in and Tomiyasu at right back. So that wouldn't have been as big a problem as it is now.
I agree.
But obviously, Tommy's out for the season, which makes it harder. So I still think, I think right centre-back and central midfield are the two areas. Maybe another centre-forward as well. I'm not... Listen, I don't want to knock him, because I think he did a great job in Jesus' absence, but maybe a different option in terms of a bigger, more powerful centre forward.
Allowing us to go a bit more direct, like an Adebayo or Giroud sort at the time of buying them of sorts.
Yeah, because what we seem to face now every single week is low blocks. And, you know, when you face a low block, you're often going to have the ball wide of the penalty area.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do now is play our way through and
intricate.
Yeah, whereas if you've got that option to be able to throw the ball in the box and really challenge the centre halves, even if you're not winning the headers, you're occupying them and you're creating those spaces for the likes of
pulling out the shape as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're creating the spaces for your midfielders to get close and potentially take advantage of any loose balls. So I think that's where I'd be looking. And also, if I'm Eddie Nketiah, like, I know he's happy at Arsenal and he just signed that contract, but you know, at some point he's going to want to be the bride and not the bridesmaid. And, you know,
great example. Facts.
You know, he's always going to be behind Gabriel Jesus in the pecking order. So
arguably Trossard now as well, really.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, Martinelli could even play through the middle as well. There's so many options for Mikel Arteta to look at. And yeah, that might be a problem.
What did you make of Balogun then? Because we're speaking central forwards. He's doing all right. 17 odd goals in France. Haaland boy and that. Is he someone you look to integrate? Do you think he'll be integrated? Where are you at with him?
I really like what I've seen of him this season. I'm always wary of getting carried away with sort of goal scoring
So happy you
records
said
in
that.
different leagues, because you don't know how that's going to translate into the Premier League. I mean, a
Facts.
prime example, I remember when we were linked with Emi Buendia, and I remember saying, stop looking at his goals and assists in the Championship, because that won't translate into the Premier League in the same way.
Exactly.
And you got to be mindful of that. So it's great for Balogun to go out there and learn, learn his trade, get better, improve, build his confidence probably above everything else. But does that mean that he's ready to come and play centre forward for Arsenal week in, week out? No. But what it does mean is that he's staked the claim. And so in the summer, you look at him, you look at Nketiah, and you're probably going to have to make a decision on one or the other.
Exactly.
So that's the dilemma that we have. But even if Arsenal decide, no, he's not ready, you could probably sell him now for £30 million. So even still, that loan spell has done you good and has benefited both him and the football club as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of positives to take from that situation. But yeah, we've got to see. We've got to see if he can come back and impress or not. That's the
like
key.
you said there, he's got to see if he can impress in that, man, in things like that. Couple of questions before I let you go, bro, because I know you're pressed for time. I asked my fans for some questions. Let me load it up on my phone. Appreciative to everybody at the time. Obviously, we're recording this, but if you did ask the question, one love, where are they? Where are they? He said, Gooner Maestro has said, will this season be one of, or will we be here next season challenging? Can we expect a dynasty incoming if we collect the Prem this year?
Yeah, I think there's lots of reason to believe that that could be on the horizon. I think one of the most exciting things about this season is that it feels like we haven't even got started yet. It's still so early.
Scratching the surface, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still so early in the journey and we're here. So yeah, I think you can expect positive things. And I think equally, we keep talking about players we need to sign and areas in which we need to strengthen. It's so important that we secure the futures of a lot of these players. We've done some of them. I expect that the Saka deal will be done. I expect the Saliba deal will be done. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal are keeping those in their back pocket just in case the title charge doesn't go as we'd hope. And yeah, end of the season, bit of deflation. Well, we're going to go again next year because we've tied Saka down. We've tied Saliba down. We've already done Martinelli. So there's talk of an Odegaard contract renewal being discussed
Odegaard,
as well.
Benjamin White, even Reece Nelson now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's lots to be excited about, I think.
That's amazing. Again, a question in relation to if we get into the Champions League. Somebody says, does the Champions League budget necessarily mean we can sign high caliber players?
It will certainly help. You got to give credit to the ownership. I know they've been under the microscope in recent years for the wrong reasons, but you have to give them credit in that they've backed Mikel Arteta to go out and do the business that he wants within reason, obviously, without Champions League football. And in some cases, without Europa League football as well. So, if you think that they were willing to invest at that point without those things, then you got to feel that they're going to be willing to continue the investment. But, everybody has their limits. So we've gone heavy in the last couple of years on bringing in players. And the hope is that there won't be as much need, to really change the face of the squad moving forward. And you'll be able to add one or two a summer and hopefully continue the growth. Yeah, exactly. So I think the Champions League will be massive for the club. I think the club took a massive bet on that. We'll spend this, but we got to get back in the Champions League. And they obviously believed they could. And, I know we say we've got 9 games to go, but we're only a few games away from wrapping up Champions League football.
Mathematically, we get over a couple more and we've done it, really.
And that would have been the goal from the outset. So going back to what you asked me earlier, how can you possibly say this season's a failure if you achieve what you set out to achieve early and then some,
Exactly, having our cake and eating it, man. My last question for you, somebody has said, can you please ask Harry, does he think Declan Rice is worth the money? And if it was up to him, Declan Rice or Caicedo?
So I think he's a great player, Declan Rice. I don't think he's £100 million plus, and I don't think he'll cost that much. I think that particularly with the season West Ham are having, whether they stay in the division or not, Declan Rice has got every right to demand that he's sold now. He's given them enough.
He's outgrown that.
Yeah, he's outgrown that. He's given them enough in terms of years, in terms of time. I think you could probably get him for 70, 80 million pounds. And when you think that that's what Caicedo was being priced at, then I think it's okay because I like Caicedo, but has he got as much credit in the bank when it comes to Premier League performances as
Probably
Declan
been in the
Rice.
Prem 2 seconds, really. Look, in January, when I was doing a video and looking at it, as much as I like him, admire him, and want him, he had about 20 odd appearances in the Prem. It'd be fantastic if Brighton sold him for that much, but for us, we'd be paying through the nose essentially.
Yeah, it'd be a massive gamble. So I'd probably lean just slightly towards Declan Rice. I don't think Declan Rice is the perfect Thomas Partey replacement, though, because I think some of their attributes are different. But I think in Declan Rice, you'd get someone who could play, for example, in a Xhaka role or in a Partey role, and that strengthens the squad, gives you more options. Premier League proven experience. In an ideal world, I'd still even say that 70, 80 million pound is too much, but you got to recognize that you're going to pay through the nose when you're trying to sign.
This is the market now, man.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And that's the market. And so, yeah, we don't dictate how the market looks and how it goes. So we kind of just got to accept it, I think. But yeah, I'd be interested. And not only would it be a good acquisition, I think it'd be a great statement as well if we were to get him over the line.
Like you said, man, it'll be a great statement for us. Hopefully we can get that. I know you're pressed for time, so unfortunately, people, we're going to have to wrap this up. H, before you get out of here, let me get a score prediction for Liverpool Arsenal. And also, what content have you got to come today?
I'm going to go Arsenal. I'm going to go Liverpool 1, Arsenal 2. Let's go with that.
I'll go with that as well. Let's be optimistic.
Let's go with that. Yeah, exactly. In terms of content, just the Chronicles of a Gooner podcast drops every day, Monday to Friday, 4:30 p.m. So the next episode will be out a little bit later on today. Thanks for having me, and apologies, I'm pressed for time, but we'll do it again soon.
We need to, man. Like he just said, man, make sure you're over on his YouTube channel. It'll be in the description when this video comes out. His YouTube channel will obviously be pinned to the title. Subscribe, support the content, and keep supporting us, man. H, it's been fantastic. Let me let you get out of here, man. Appreciate you having you so on much, my channel, man. Peace out.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much.
Minor.
Always just that active red man, defending.